Hello guys and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we will be building this UI screen by using Flutter, and we will be using the basics of the Flutter, the basic widgets. We will try to keep everything as simple as possible, and we won't using any Dart, so this is just a front end or a UI. We won't use any backend code. We will only designing this widget right here. So let's get started. Now first I deleted everything in the basic Flutter app when you run the app. So I will start from scratch by importing the Flutter material and then create my main function, so void main, and we wanna run app, and I will just call it home for now. Then we will be making a stateless widget by the same name of the app, which is home, and I want to return a material app, and the material app, the home, will be another screen, and this screen we will name it login screen. Of course there is an error because we didn't create it yet, but before I create it I want to remove the debug banner. So debug show check mode banner, we will set it to false. Now let's create a new Dart file, login screen. Okay, so now I want to start importing my Flutter material app, and we will create another stateless widget with the name of login screen. Now when we return to our home, we will import the library, and there is no errors because we imported the login screen, so our work here is done. Now for the login screen, let me refresh this. Like you see, it's just a black screen. Let's start with the basics. So I will be returning a scaffold, not a container, scaffold widget, and the scaffold widget will have a body, and for the body I will be using a container. In the container I want to set the width to double dot infinity, and the height we want to set it to something called media query, and media query means that we want to take the height of all the screen. So media query dot of context, we want to target the size of the height. So now if we save, nothing is happening, but the screen is became white because we are returning a scaffold, and the scaffold by default is white. Now before I start adding my other widgets, I want to change the background color. Now I choose these colors, you can say randomly, and you can choose any color you want. So for the and the scaffold, for the background color, I will be using a color with the value, and of course when we want to use a hexadecimal color we have to add at the first 0xFF and then type the hexa code of the color. So the color I am using is 434C5E. So now if I refresh, this is the color, and like I said, I chose it actually randomly. It's between gray and blue, and I like this type of color. So that's for the scaffold. Now for the container, we will start building our screen So first child will be column, and a column will take children, and the first child we want to add just sign in. Hit save, and you can see it's in the top of the screen. Now of course I can add some padding to push it down, but instead of that I will be using a widget. I will wrap my container with a widget which is called the safe area. And safe area, now when you save, it's pushing everything you are working in your project in a safe area, so it won't be in the top or in the bottom or out of screen. I recommend that you always use the safe area when you are using any project in Flutter. Okay, so for the text we want to style it, so style, and then add the widget of text style. For the text style, of course, we want to make the font size bigger, so I will use 14. Okay, also the weight, the font weight will be font weight dot W700. And for the color, I will be using colors dot white. Now when you hit save, okay, that's better. Now after this text we want to add another text, and like I said, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. We can make a lot of things, we can style it with very different ways, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible because we want to make this just a tutorial project. So I am not using something very fancy. Now let's continue. I will just type login by using your account, something like that. Let's say, okay. So also we want to style it with the text style, and we want to change the color to colors.white. Also I want to change the font weight to font weight with 400, and the font size, let's make it 20. No, I think this is too big. Let's make it 16. Okay. Now for the next widget, we will be using the text field. Now, before we start to jump on the text field, I want to let's use a size box to make space between these two texts. So now I will be using size box with the height, let's say 30 pixels. Okay, and I want to wrap my column. And by the way, if you want to wrap any widget with another widget, you can just hover over this widget, and either by using this helper right here and choose wrap widget, or if you want to use the keyboard Alt and Enter and wrap this widget, and I'm gonna wrap it with a padding widget. Sorry, I'm gonna wrap it with a padding. Okay, and don't know why it's not working. It should work. So column, wrap this with a padding. Yes, that's better. And I want to change this. I don't want to give the same amount of padding from all sides, so I will be using symmetric. So when you are using padding, you can either use symmetric or all only, and the all will give the same padding from all sides. The only, you can specify the left, right, top, bottom, or the symmetric, which will deal with the vertical and horizontal. So I want to use the symmetric padding because for the vertical I want to push it from the top, let's say by 30 pixels, but horizontally I want to give it 25. So now if I save, I have to put a comma here. So save, okay, this is better. Don't need to push it more, but let's say it's 40 instead of 30. Okay, now let's continue. After the text, I want to add my text field, but I will put it in a column because I want to use a text. We will say it's the email and the password, and below this text we will be using the text field. So now I want to use a column, and the column will have children. The children, my first child, will be a text, and I want this to be email. So now if I save, okay, let's style this by using the text style. For the color, of course, I'm going to use the colors.white, and for the font, let's add 18. Okay, and let's make the weight font weight dot 600. Okay. Now, after the text, I want to add my text field. Now, for the text field, we will be using the decoration, which is an input decoration. And in the input decoration, first I want to add my hint text. So the hint text will be a string, and let's say enter your email. Let's save. Okay. For the hint style, we will be using text style. So text style. Outline input border, we will be using a border radius, and we want to use a circular border radius of the amount of 25. Okay, now let's refresh, and you see the text field has this border with this shape, and it's better than the rectangle shape. I think it's look nicer. Now, for the border, I don't think I want to add anything more, but for the other properties that we can add in the input decoration, I want the filled property to be true, and the fill color, I'm gonna use the colors dot gray with the amount of 800. So if I save, okay, I think this looks better than the default color. Now I also want to add another property, which is the focused border. The focused border, I mean when I click on the text field, the color of the border or the shape of the border will change. The focus border also takes an outline input border, and for the outline input border, I also want to change the border radius, so circular with the same amount, but for the border side, I will create a border side, and you see it takes three properties: the style, and we won't be using that. Also the width, I don't want to change it, but I want to change the color. And the color that I'm using, it will be, you can say it's a white color, but it's different. It's a little brighter, and I also get it on a hexa decimal code. So it's 0xFF E5 E9 F0. So now if I save, when I click, you can see it's the color of the border has changed and it's look nicer. Now, the reason that I'm wrapping all this, the text field and the text with a column, is because I want this email to I want to change the position of it in the start of my text field. So I can do that by applying the main axis and cross axis. Now the main axis for the column is the vertical axis. The cross axis will be the horizontal axis. So I don't want to change anything in the vertical axis. I want only to change the cross and make this text start from the start from the start of the screen or of the page. So what I will be using is cross axis alignment, cross axis alignment dot, and you can see there is properties like end, stretch, start, center, but I will be using start. So now if I save, you can see it's right here. Now I want to style it a little bit more, and I will be styling it by adding some padding to my text. And remember that I used symmetric above. Now I will use another type of padding, which is the only, because I only want to padding the text. The padding or string will be only from the left side. So I will type left and say like 10. So let's refresh. Okay, that's better. Now the final step is I want to add some padding to my column. So padding, and also I want using the all, I will be using the symmetric. So for the vertical, I want to push it from the top to bottom by the amount of 15, and horizontally I want to add 25. No, I think 25 is too much. Let's add just 20. Okay, and the last step is I want to add some size box between my text, which is right here, and the text field. Before I do that, I want to reformat my code. So now it's easier to read and to edit. So here, after the padding of the text, I want to add a size box. And size box is basically nothing. It just add some height or width between your widgets. And because I'm using the column and I am stacking or setting my widgets in a vertical way, I want to add a height. And the height I'm adding is, let's say, 10. No, let's say 7. Okay, I think that's better. All right, now this starts from here, from the padding, so I will shrink it and just copy and paste. Now, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of copy and pasting, and I don't recommend that you do that, but I don't want to make this video long for you, so I just did um, to speed the things up, and I only going to change this to password. And for the hint text, enter your email, I will change it to enter your password. Okay, so now when I click on the email or on the password on the email, I can type. Okay, we are typing in black color. I will change that in a second. And for the password, I can also type. But the problem with the password is the characters are shown. We want to make it more secure, and to do that, I only need to add something on my text field. and it's a property called the obscure text, and which is a boolean, and I want to add it true. So now when I save and I type, you see it's not showing, and that gives you a better security for your login screen. Okay, so what I want to change is in the text field, I want to change the style and make the colors dot white, and I will do the same in the other text field. Okay, so on the text field, we want to add style, text style, and the color I want to set is colors dot white. So now when I save, when I type, it's white color, and also the password is on a white color. Okay, so let's I don't need this, the padding and the other padding. Okay, but I need to add a comma right here. Okay, so now let's start adding our button, but before that I want to wrap my whole container, and by that I mean my whole safe area, with something called the child, the single child scroll view. And the reason that I'm doing that is to, even when I am trying to type anything and the keyboard will cover this widget, it won't shows any error, and it will keep everything um, uh, in the screen in a better way. So after that, let's back to our code. So this padding and also this padding. Okay, now let's continue to make our button. So for the button, I will be using another container, and this container will have a width with the amount of double dot infinity, because we want to take the whole area, and the height will be, let's say, 60 pixels. And I will just test this by adding some color, because I want to take the height. So let's say red. Okay, that's good. Now I will remove the color because I will add some decoration, and in the decoration I can change the color of my container. So for the decoration, we will be using box decoration because we are using decoration for the container. For the box decoration, what I want to change is the color. So colors dot, I will give it a white color. Okay, and also what I want to change is the border radius, so it will be a circular with the same amount that we used on our text field. Okay, and I guess that's it. Yeah, we don't need any other property. So after that, I want to add the child to my container, which would be a text, of course. The text will be sign in. So let's save. We want to style it, text style. I want to change the font size, obviously, to, let's say, 13. Okay, we want to, let's give it 25. Okay, the font weight, we want to add font weight, and we want to make it bold with W700. Okay, and now the last step is to make my text right here in the center of my container, and there is a couple ways to do that. I can either wrap my text with a center widget, or in the container there is a property called alignment, and when I use alignment I can align item alignment directionally and using the center widget. And now when I hit save, it's in the center of the widget. Now there is a last thing I want to do is I want to add some padding to my button. First I want to make it with the same size of the text field, and also I want to push it from the text field a little bit down. So I will wrap this container with a padding, and like I said, I am not using the all insets. I will be using symmetric, and for the symmetric vertically I want to add, let's say, 40, and horizontally 25. Now let's save. Okay, so it's looking good. Let's say 20. Okay, it's looking good. Now what we want to do, so sign in, and okay, now let's add some text right here. If you don't have an account, or before that we can add the widgets that you see when I first launch the application, and it's signing in by using the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any account that you want to do. And to do that, there is a couple ways. The image in this in these circular avatar, let's say, or in these containers, you can either download them PNG or you can use something much easier, and I will show you that. First, you have to go to pub.dev and installing the package of Font Awesome. Now, Font Awesome, if you are familiar with, it's maybe the largest website for icons and for fonts, and we will be using their icons on our containers that contain the Facebook, LinkedIn, GitHub, or any other account you want to add. So after this padding, which we won't be needing, what I want to do, I want to add some text. Sorry, and I want to type this in this way. Okay, or so I want to style it with text style. The color will be colors.white, and the font size will be, let's say, 20. Okay, and I will use the same thing right here. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of the copy and pasting, but I want to save you some time because I don't want to make this video a long video. So, or sign in with, let's say, okay, and below that let's add our widgets right here. So what I will be doing, I'm gonna use a row because we are setting them horizontally, and the children will be a container. So I'm gonna use a container right here, and for the width I'm gonna give it 60, also for the height also 60. For the decoration, I will use the box decoration, and in the box decoration, let me just test this, colors.red. Okay, so when we want to make the container a circular container, we have to give it a circular amount of 50 pixels. So now when I hit radius, border radius, circular, 50, save, and it's not showing because I deleted the color. So now let's test it again, colors.red, and you can see it's a circle. Now you can also change this to make it like 7 by 7, and you see it's a little bigger. Of course you can control the size whatever you want. So let's give it let's keep it in that way, 70 by 70. And now for the child of our container we will be using the font awesome. And to do that, like I said, we go to pub.div, we install the dependency. To install the dependency, you go to our pubspec.yaml file, and here you can install the Flutter awesome font awesome Flutter dependency pub.get, and then you add the dependency. Now the child that I want to use will be an icon, and this icon won't be a normal icon, it will be a font awesome icons, and font awesome icons dot. And now you can change, you can choose the name of the icon that you want. No, wait, there is something wrong. Icons font awesome dot, and now we can use the icon that we want. So let's say for Google, and this is an icon, not icons. So let's save. Okay, it's the Google icon right here. So let's change it a little bit. Okay, so it's Google. Now we can also change the color of the icon. So I will change this to colors dot white. Save. Okay, and also I can change the size to like 25. Okay, it's a little bigger, and let's make it 30. Okay, that's better. Now I will be using this same container to add this in the other element right here. But before that, I want to add a size box with another amount of height, let's say 15 pixels, to push it down. And then I will be adding another container. So here the container, copy and paste, and we will be changing only two things. The first thing will be the icon itself, so I will be using Facebook icon, and the color, let's change that to blue. So let's save. Okay, but I want to make this blue, let's say 600, no, 800. Okay, that's more like Facebook. And we can also add the other ones. Now, for the spacing between these containers, we can, of course, add some padding, but the better way to do that while we are using row is to using the main or cross-axis alignment. Now, in the column, we use the cross-axis alignment for this text right here because we are using column, and the cross-axis for the column will be the horizontal one. Now for the row, the main axis is the horizontal axis, and we want to change the space between these two elements. To do that, I will use the main axis alignment and also main axis alignment, and there we don't need to use center or start, but what I want to use is space evenly, and that will put an even space between all the widgets or the element in our row. So now when I say space evenly, because I only have two, you can see when I save, it's gone to the center, and the space between the two widgets and the space between the widget itself with the left or with the right is even. So now when I also add another container, and this one I will be adding the GitHub, and the color will be black. Save. You see, it's now 3 elements and still the space between them evenly, and we can add another one, and let's say this one will be LinkedIn, and for the color we will be using the regular blue color, and you can add much containers and much item as you want. And I guess that's it. There is only one thing left to do, and that to add a text widget right here. A text, if you don't have an account, you can go to another screen, which will be a sign up screen, and create a new account. And I won't use, and I don't, sorry, I will not use only a text widget. Instead, I will use another row because I will have two text widgets. The first, sorry, children, the first text widget don't have an account. Let's say, okay, styling it, so text style. For the color, of course, we want to make colors dot white, and we want to make the font weight. We want to make font weight dot, let's say, 600, and also we want to change the font size to 20 pixels. No, this is too much. Let's say 16. Okay, that's better. And now the reason that I'm using row is because the other widget, the other text widget, I want to make it clickable. So when we click it, we can navigate or we can open another screen. So the other text widget, which will be right here, I will also add a text widget. And this text we will use sign up. And we also want to add some styling, the text style widget. For the color, let's use colors dot, I don't know, let's say blue. Okay, and we also want to give it the same size, which was 80 pixels, and the same font weight, which is font weight dot 600. So now when I hit OK, it's now the same size and the same weight with this. Now I will add a size box right here to push it down, so another height, and this one I will be using 15. Okay, and like when we used this on the row, the main axis, we made it space evenly. We will use the same thing, but we will use it to make it in the center. So main axis alignment, also main axis alignment dot center, and now it's in the center. Now, like I said, the reason that I was using the row, I could just write this text in just one text widget, is because I want to wrap this text with something clickable. And we have many things. We have the text button, we have button, and we have the ink. So I will be using the inkwell. Okay, and on here I just want to add the on tab, and I will make it a blank function. So now when I save, when I hit click, it's clickable, so I can add in the on click, I can add navigator, or I can add any thing, any code I want to go to another screen. So this is it, guys. This is the UI that we designed. It's, like I said, it's nothing, it's something not very fancy, but we tried to make it as simple as possible. If you are a beginner, this is absolutely perfect for you to learn the basic widgets. And if you are an intermediate or even advanced level in Flutter, I think this will refresh your memory about many widgets and many properties that we used in this tutorial. So thank you so much for watching. You may notice that English is not my first language, so I try to speak a little bit slowly, so I can pronunciate every word and you can understand everything I'm saying. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe for the channel. Thank you so much.